this is something we as drivers should stay far and clear from, right? If we see this coming our way, it doesn't mean we have to send it the other way. Racial slurs do not belong in our office, in our car, right? And there are many things that you can do when a racial slur is coming your way, right? Instead of escalating it, right? Instead of shouting a profanity back, and then you really get into this back and forth of slurs, of racial slurs. You don't have to go that route, right? Because it's going to end terribly, right? It's going to end up horribly. Sometimes it'll even end up in a fatality. It's not worth it, right? So I totally understand how this individual felt when this Valley CEO called a student Uber driver a racial slur. I believe this individual has apologized. And this is not the San Fernando Valley. This is a Valley CEO. This is a company out in Arizona. And I hope he goes beyond just apologizing, right? He should do something to make this better. All I'm asking you is, if it ends up like this in your car, I would suggest removing yourself from the car. Just get out, right? You can cancel the trip. The person on the trip's like, what the F are you doing? Start driving, you blah, 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 beep, 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 right? And you can say, listen, you have people around you. I would even suggest getting a whistle, bring in other people's attention. Sorry, I'm not driving you. I will call, 911, whatever it may be, or the cops. But you don't have to drive an individual that starts pounding you with racial slurs. So I want to read you the story because I'm going to put the link below. The main reason why I made this is that this has the ability to escalate, right? And we have the ability to de-escalate something as drivers. We're bigger than this, right? We're better than this. So if you see an a-hole who uses this type of profanity, I just really beg you, disengage. Get out the car. Don't let it spiral out of control and worst case scenario, end up in a fatality. It's not worth it. So this happened in Phoenix. The president of a Valley company was caught on camera calling his Uber driver, an African-American Arizona State University student, a racial slur. The driver was not only offended at being called the N-word, but also appalled when he found out that the passenger was a CEO and in a position of power. That word does not belong in your car, period. If it's coming your way, disengage, get out, cancel, and whatever you do, do not send that word the other way. It's going to end up horribly, my friends. It's a very painful word, and it should not be spoken. Now we hear that word in hip-hop songs and rap songs, but that's part of the hip-hop and rap culture. They're not insulting each other, right? It's in the culture of the music that word will come up. But using that word, especially, let's just say you're a white male and you're attacking an African female, African American or African female with that word, that hurts. And it's just uncalled for, right? And it's going to get really, really horrible. Now, when I read the whole article, I wanted to know all the facts. And I totally understand where this driver was coming from, right? Because, the story doesn't just end there. Randy Clark takes pride in his Uber rides, right? Doesn't matter if you're male or female, right? Inside the car, I got 2 iPads for games and music, said Clark, showing off the vehicle that looks like it could have been on the Exhibit TV show. You got the drinks, the snacks, it's all super clean. So this driver takes a lot of pride in his vehicle or in her vehicle, doesn't matter. Clark has been driving for more than 4 years with over 1,400 rides under my belt. He says the 25-year-old has nearly perfect driver rating on the Uber app. One ride, though, in 2018 changed everything. I was sexually assaulted before, said Clark. He was drunk, grabbed my crotch. I said, whoa, and you can't be doing that, and ended the ride, right? So, if people get in the front, and this will usually, I'm not saying all the time, but there's a higher percentage of females that would, suffer from this type of incident, that if somebody reaches across and tries to grab you or touch you, it is understandable that driver does not want people up in the front seat, right? Based on that traumatizing experience, right? So the assault is the reason why Clark now has signs on the inside and outside of his car that clearly state front seat use is reserved for parties or 3 or more, which is fair, right? It's his car, his rules. And he basically says front seat use is reserved for parties of 3 or more. And that's based on his past negative experience. So, he's not saying, hey, I will not allow anyone in there. But if there's just one individual rider, he prefers not, or she prefers, could be he or she, you can replace it, prefers not to have that single driver sitting up front, and for many reasons, right? So Friday night, a rider tried to hop in up front. Mine sitting in the back, asked Clark, right? No, I don't like to sit there, replied the passenger. I don't like it when people sit in the front, said Clark. Here we go. This is where the problem already starts. My advice to Clark says, I would say, hey, I've had a very bad and traumatic experience with someone sitting up front. I would just kindly ask you to sit in the back. If you insist on sitting in the front, I'm not your driver. I would just call another vehicle, right? Try if you can and de-escalate that situation. But it became sort of like a little bit of a match here. The two continued going back and forth. Here we go. So it's just going like this, boom, 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 right? If we see it going in that direction, it's for any newbies. Veterans usually know how to handle this. They've done it so and so many times, right? But if you see something going like this, it's time to disengage, right? So you got to use the right verbiage, the right moves, maybe even have to cancel a ride and immediately remove yourself from the car, because it's only going one way and it's going south and it's going the wrong way, right? And it can end up horribly, my friends. People have done crazy, idiotic things to be in the right. Stabbings, shootings. It is absolutely not worth it, especially when you have, two egos fighting it out, right? So the passenger said, are you effing serious with me? And then, no, I don't like it when people sit in the front. I'll cancel and refund you, right? Which is the right answer, knowing what he went through. But I think had Clark worded it a little bit differently, say, you know what, sir, I don't like it when people sit up in the front because I have been sexually assaulted before, right? And if I have a big group of people in my car, sure, I allow someone up front. But as an individual driver, and I'm not claiming you fall into that category, it's just based on my past traumatic experience. I hope you respect that. If you do insist on sitting in the front, I would gladly refund you. I'll gladly get you another car, right? Try wherever you can to de-escalate the situation. But because they're now in a pissing match, back and forth, it's escalating, it's going to end up horrible, right? So both men agreed to cancel the trip, but the passenger then hopped in the back, right? I'm here, sitting in the back, said the rider. Sir, please leave my vehicle. Is it because I'm white, says the passenger, and you are a effing N? You are a effing idiot. So now we're at the peak, right? It cannot get worse than that, right? And Clark quickly filed a complaint with Uber, but had a gut feeling the passenger was a person with some power. Something told me inside that this man is probably a business owner. So he followed his gut instinct and he started researching. Clark did some digging and determined it was Hans Berglund. That sounds Swedish, Danish, or Norwegian to me, Berglund, right? Founder and CEO of Agroplasma, which is an organic fertilizer company based in Tempe. This man probably is employing people of color, said Clark, concerned by the blatant racism he displayed to a complete stranger in a matter of seconds. Both sides, and I'm just saying this, both sides, Clark as well as this Hans Berglund guy, had the ability to de-escalate the story, right? But because they were not speaking clearly with each other, right? Because they were not communicating effectively with each other, the story went horribly south, right? Then Berglund told ABC 15, I deeply regret and apologize for the hurtful and derogatory language I used during the altercation with Mr. Clark. I firmly believe that there is no excuse for the use of racial slurs under any circumstance, so I will not offer any. It is my sincere hope that Mr. Clark hears and accepts my apology and believes me when I say it's honest and heartfelt, right? Got to stop there for a second, right? When he says, it is my sincere hope that Mr. Clark hears and accepts my apology and believes me when I say it's honest and heartfelt. Look, if you apologize, that is already a huge, if you publicly and through the press or through the media apologize and say, listen, I messed up. I shouldn't have said this. I'm very sorry. It's inappropriate. An apology can be accepted, right? But to say that the apology is honest and heartfelt, you can't 100% buy that when the damage has already been done, right? That's already ingrained in the individual, that he is programmed in a racist manner, right? I think it's inside of you. And it's dangerous. I would ask every single rider, do not get into the vehicle, right? If you program that way. If you're thinking of going down that road, think twice. It could end up horrible. A lot of drivers, you know, I will not tolerate anyone trash talking me or calling me names. I am not going to fight back and make a big scene out of it. I'll end the trip right there. I'll remove myself from the car, and the car's not going anywhere, right? So the person only has the ability to sit in the back. If they insist on sitting in the back because they want to be stubborn, I'll call the cops or I'll call 911, right? But I'm not going to engage with someone in a pissing match. I don't know what the individual has on them. I once was pulled over in an SUV that I was driving, and I had a couple of people on board, and they were heavily, heavily armed, right? I did not know that they had guns and knives on them. The cops that pulled my car over were tracking these guys, right? And you know what? Had I engaged in any verbal dispute with these guys, right, it would have ended up horribly, right? Several of these individuals were armed in my car and had a lot of arms on them, right? Guns, knives. One had a dagger like this strapped to the side of his leg, right underneath his baggy pants. So, you know, I'm glad I did not engage in any foul or racial language with them, right? Would have been inappropriate, and it would have ended up with my neck cut, I can tell you that, right? So Uber responded to ABC saying discrimination has no place on the Uber app or anywhere. And that should go for riders and drivers alike. What's been described is a clear violation of our community guidelines, and we launched an investigation as soon as we learned of it. Clark said that Uber reached out to him late Monday to tell him that Birkeland's account has been temporarily placed on hold during the investigation, right? Now, it's strange here. Let me just say Uber's behavior is a little bit strange, because Clark said that Uber reached out to him late Monday to tell him that Birkeland's account has been temporarily placed on hold during the investigation. Let me tell you something. If it was the other way around, right, if it was a driver that had made that racial slur to a rider, do you think they would put your account on temporary hold? No, it's called deactivation. They would immediately deactivate you. You would be fighting back to set the story straight, right? This guy, they don't want to lose him, right? They don't want to piss him off, the rider. He should, in my eyes, be deactivated, just the same way a driver would be deactivated until the story is full out there in the open, right? The fact that this guy has already apologized, admitted guilt, right? From then you can decide, hey, are we going to allow the person back on our platform? I would say no, right? It's another disaster waiting to happen. Or do we keep him deactivated? But to say that you temporarily place someone on hold, that's very weak of Uber, because they would not have thought twice, right, to deactivate the driver had it been the other way around. I'm just saying, and I'm speaking here of experience because I've heard this nonsense before. So I want to jump into the room and see what people have to say. I honestly think that this individual, Hans Birkeland, should not be on the Uber platform anymore, because it's programmed in his DNA that he is a racist. Apology or no apology, right? It's all about the mighty dollar, says Mark Roughton, right? And, he's a CEO. Uber doesn't want to get into any, lawsuit with a CEO. He's got the money. It's all about the dollar. And Mark Roughton, I think, hit the nail on the head. Had it been the other way around, right, guess what? We can replace that driver with another driver. Deactivation. So, again, it just shows me how Uber runs their business, right? I also point fingers at Uber here. It's shocking to me that they temporarily suspended him. That's an immediate deactivation, my friends, especially if the individual has pleaded guilty. Yes, I did this. I apologize, right? So I would hope this Hans Birkeland, this piece of crap, does not get back on the platform, right? Good for you that you've apologized, but you need to go and do your work, Hans Birkeland, right? You need to go, you're running a company, you're employing people of color. They will look at you very, very differently when they go to work tomorrow morning, right? When they hear this on the news, the way you spoke about an African-American younger student, believe me, your employees are going to look at you differently. If they have some integrity, if they have some dignity, they'll probably resign and say, you know what, sorry, sir, we cannot work for a racist. But Hans Birkeland, you're going to wear this hat forever. You got to go do the work. You got to go find out what is beneath the surface. Go peel away the onion layers. Was it your father? Did you watch your father being a massive racist, making a lot of slurs in the past? Was it maybe your mother, the way she maybe treated other people, right? But somewhere you got to do your work and get over this if you want to become a better person. James Skidmore says, second chance has its place, but not always. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Frank Barreri, well said, Professor, speaking bad has no place in our lives. Both ways, Frank, you're absolutely right? Whether from driver to rider, rider to driver, Uber's got to take a stand here. I am disgusted in the management of Uber that they actually even thought of temporarily suspending Hans Birkeland, this Valley CEO. That is an immediate first strike deactivation. They would not hesitate for 1 second, for 1 millisecond, to deactivate a driver over that type of language. Believe me, if a rider would call in after the trip and said, my driver said this and this and this, there is no temporary suspension for you, Mr. or Mrs. Driver. You are immediately deactivated. So shame on Uber for being so desperate to keep a rider who pays, right? And who has some sort of form of power or believes he has some form of power, this Hans Berkland guy. Shame on Uber and Hans Berkland. That's all I have to say about the story, right? We really have to think things. All I ask, and I said this right in the beginning of the video, do not escalate this. When this profanity comes your way, I know it's a big pill to swallow. Geez, like, what did this person just call me? Brrr! That's my natural reaction, right? Right? Here comes a missile in form of a word, hits me straight in the head. I register it. I'm going to retaliate. Guess what? Here, you've already taken it here. If it's here, he will take it there. If it's there, you'll take it there. And it's going to end up maybe like this or maybe like this. Not worth it. Right? So breathe. Here comes this racial. So I know it's a big exercise, but breathe, right? Verbal judo. Let it go past you. Get out the car. Sir, the trip ends here. Nobody speaks to me like this. If you have any problems, you can talk to the cops. I'm calling them right now. That type of language puts them in place right there and then, right? If you have any issues with my decision of canceling the trip, you may speak to the police. I am calling them now. A person will crap themselves. That puts them right. No, don't call the cops. I apologize. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for what I said. No need to call the cops, right? They don't want that stain on their reputation, right? So again, let's practice this. Here comes the missile, the racial slur. Boom! It registers. Do I take it there? No. This guy just called me. Beep, 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 beep. Breathe. Remove myself from the car. Sir, madam, you just called me a racial profanity. I don't drive people that call me these type of names. If you have an issue with that, I'm canceling right now. If you have an issue with that, you can call the police that I'm calling right now. Hang on, no need to call the police, sir. It's okay, I apologize. Can you see how we took a situation like that to like that? Try it. Try it. Try that exercise even in everyday, right, surroundings. Your wife, your boyfriend, whatever. Here comes that missile. Nobody talks to me like that. Sorry. You know what? Have an awesome day. If you're ready to apologize, I don't get spoken to like that. Now, in Clark's defense, he had a traumatic incident, right? He's a male driver. Someone's up front. Somebody tried to grab his crotch. He's like, whoa, buddy, not so fast, right? And he canceled that trip, right? So that sticks in his head. Somebody sits up front. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. It's a male. Maybe they're going to grab me again. So he had a traumatic experience, right? He put a sign in his car. There's 2 or 3 people in my car. Somebody can sit up front. Individual driver, not. Somebody asked, why can't I sit up front? I had a really, really bad experience in the past. I'm not saying that you are like that. I would just kindly request you sit in the back seat. I do not want to sit in the back seat. Then I will gladly order you another car, right? I understand that you have no understanding for my past traumatic experience and that you really insist on sitting in the back seat. And I'd like, you insist on sitting in the front seat and you do not want to sit in the back seat. I'd like to accommodate that by getting you another car. Don't go there. Ha! Keto knows I like my coffee. The Rideshare Godzilla. Scott Tucker says, yes, that's exactly what I did after they called me. Alfredo Rosales says, recap, please. Ooh, it's quite a tough one to recap. I would just watch it. We don't have to make the video endless and repeat the same thing again and again and again. The deeper message to recap for everyone, the deeper message in this short live stream is both ways, rider to driver, driver to rider. Racial slurs, any slurs can escalate, will end up horribly, can even end up in a fatality. If you do see a racial slur or some sort of foul language coming your way, boom, it hits, you register it. You could go off and escalate it, or you could say, hang on, you know what? Take a deep breath. I will not be spoken to like that. I would get out of my car and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am. I don't accept that type of language. I do not drive people that call me those type of names, right? You can remove yourself from my car and explain it to the cops that I'm calling right now. Hang on. You don't have to call the cops over this. I apologize. I'm sorry. I went overboard. And you've de-escalated it, right? You want to bluff. I'm calling the cops right now. You can explain it to them. People are scared of that one. Ellen Milt says, I'm on the keto. I lost 40 pounds. Yo. Congratulations on losing 40 pounds. 40 pounds is a lot. It's 20 kilograms. You should be super, super proud of yourself, Ellen Miltz, for that is impressive. Anybody that is determined to lose weight and lose 40 pounds because they want to change their health, they want to change their outlook, they want to, they want to feel better, and you actually go and do it and lose 40 pounds, I take my hat off, right? Look, any tips on this tax season, right? Firstly, if you're at the February 23rd party, Business Rocket will be there, right? And they will answer all your tax questions. I am not a tax man, but I can tell you something. Depending on how many income streams you have in rideshare, not just driving alone, right? You're monetizing it, YouTube, blah, 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 leasing out cars, whatever, right? Whether you start the formation of an LLC and treat yourself as a company and maybe claim that a part of your home is used as office space and you can write it off on taxes, or if you can even go as far as registering yourself as an S corporation, not just as an individual writing off miles. You want to do the calculations where you get the most money back, right? I operate as a company and I declare all my expenses, right? So, but if you just flat out driving, you haven't done insane miles, you assign, the mileage factor, the IRS mileage factor to your miles on the trips done versus income, you can see how much money you get back, right? But I would also do the calculation. If you've kept all the gas receipts, if you have your phone receipts because you're paying right for your phone, this is an expense. A camera making videos could be an expense. A computer can be expense. A part of your a sort of in-home office in your house could be an expense that can be written off. You got to get really creative in getting your tax dollars back, my friend. Uberman Tampa says TurboTax self-employed is free with Lyft. Okay, cool, good. I don't use it. I've heard it's very good though. James Campbell says, congratulations, Alan Mills. Alan Mills, we're proud of you. It's awesome. All right. We are, we're at the 30-minute mark. I got 10 likes. Not bad. I'd be happy with 15. But yeah, so we don't have to overkill this topic, right? It's short and sweet, completely clear that, thank you for the 12, I appreciate it. Went up to 12 likes. Scott Tucker says, I use TurboTax with Lyft. How is that working for you, Scott? Do share with the group. We got 15 likes. I greatly appreciate the 5 individuals, the 17 individuals that gave me those likes. Thank you so much to all of you. So love and light. Good to see you here. John's J. DeGravio, also one of the winners. We'll be sending out your neon signs today. Welcome. Congratulations, John's J. DeGravio, for your prediction. Also, congratulations, M. Sawyer. And congratulations to Ryan O'Hara. Your neon lights are on the way, right? So again, if you haven't RSVP'd, right, for Long Beach party, email me. It's hard to type when the keyboard's all the way up here. 1, 9, 3. Food, drinks, music, networking, and a couple of stations set up to give you advice. Also, free inspections on the day, free oil checks, free brake checks. If you suspect something's wrong with the car, they will look at it for you and give you some free advice, right? There's many, many ways to save money on auto repair. So I'm doing this at our new auto repair shop. We have one in Santa Monica. We have one in Long Beach. We also have one in Ventura, in Studio City, that we're expanding. So we want to have 3 large operational workshops by the end of the year. So right now we have about 2.5. We're adding another big piece of space and a couple of bays in Studio City. You know, that's what I do with all my lease cars. I want to keep them in great shape. I know how to shop parts. I don't always run out and buy a brand new part. I know how to get parts. So the other thing is, like, you're always welcome to speak to our mechanics and say, hey, you know what, is it possible to get that Prius part used, right? Or is it possible to get that transmission used? My friends, a transmission, the difference between going out and them trying to hustle you a new transmission versus you fixing a transmission or getting another used transmission could be a matter of thousands of dollars, right? So there are a lot of ways to save money on cars, right? And don't let just the regular mechanic just steamroll you and tell you, oh, you know what, to fix this light bulb here, it's $90. BS, it's a $10 job. Cool, I like it. I'm studying paintless dent repair. That's awesome. You can make a lot of money with that. Just have to have the tools, right? Lovebug says, should we keep our religious markings on the cars? I don't know, as long as it doesn't offend anyone, right? I mean, why not have your religious markings, whatever you believe in, right underneath your visor? Before you start driving, you put your visor down. Maybe you make a little prayer to your marking, whatever it is, right? But I wouldn't put anything right on the outside of the car that would flare someone up. But at the same time, this is your freedom to express yourself, right? So if that's what you want, you're entitled to it, right? I would just say, don't engage in religious talk, right, inside the vehicle. Now, we have a great YouTuber called the Rideshare Chaplain. His approach is interesting, right? He doesn't force it upon anyone. But like, his videos are interesting, right? But to try and convince someone that their religion is wrong, your religion is right, my political leaning is right, your political leaning is wrong, not worth it. James Campbell says, try not to be satanic and vulgar. I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't even go there. If you want trouble, go down that road, right? But Johns J says, you know what? We do have freedom of speech. Exactly, right? We do have freedom of speech. I don't allow people to come in here and smack talk or make racist remarks, right? That may be their freedom of speech in the outside world, but I got to sort of keep the audience clean and on track, right? I eliminate them. You know what I do. I flush them away, right? So I'm all for freedom of speech, but, you know, if it's deliberate hatred, if it's targeted hatred, I cut it off. Motormouth Racing says, the best thing I found out from doing this for 4 years is to get an extended warranty for your vehicle. Most of the deductibles are only $100 and pretty much covers everything but maintenance. 100% correct. That's what I do as well on my new vehicles. I get the extended warranty because something could crop up after 100,000 miles and you don't want to be stuck there. So I'm with you on that. Motormouth Racing, I do that as well. William Van Gordon says freedom of speech again. Chi-Town Cub says rules and regulations of taxis. No talks about religion or politics in cabs. Smart, super smart. Should be the same for rideshare, right? We should adopt that same type of regulation. Taxi industry has it. They have it for a reason. They've been around longer than the rideshare industry has ever been around, right? So why not, for yourself, adopt those taxi regulations? No religious talk or convincing in the car. No political talking or trying to convince the other one in the car, right? Now, if the rider brings it up, listen, listen, listen. I highly suggest you do not fight back and escalate, right? It goes back to this. Goes back to this Hans Berglund making this comment, this wrongful, hurtful comment towards the driver, right, without thinking it through. Again, the driver, you have to have the tools, you have to have the experience to de-escalate this. Just because a racial slur missile comes your way, no, you don't have to go off. Boom, 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 right? So you know what? I hear you, but I don't accept racial comments. I'm removing myself from the vehicle. I am canceling the trip right in here. If you have a problem with that, I'm calling the cops right now. You can explain it to them. It's okay. No need to call the cops. I'll remove myself. Rideshare Chaplain says, live your faith by kind actions, not words. Powerful. Very, very powerful. Right? Now, the Rideshare Chaplain, you want to go and check out his videos. He talks, you know, about his past, where he worked in the military, in the police, I believe, right? And that's his field of expertise, right? They hired him for that specific reason, right? He knows so much about it, right? But going around showing acts of kindness, helping out. May I help you with those bags, right? Don't worry, I got you. I'll take your shopping cart back. You don't have to bring it back, right? Or, ma'am, that looks very heavy. Can I help you with those bags? Or at an airport, let me do that for you, right? Especially when you know you're dealing with elderly, especially when you know you see someone in a wheelchair. Just go out of your way. Acts of kindness, you know, go a long, long way, right? Don't they? People are very appreciative if you do open up the door for a lady. You're welcome, right? Doesn't mean a lot of these people don't know how to say thank you. But I always just say, you're welcome, right? Just remind them that you've done something nice for them. Open up a door. They just walk through. They think, you know, I'm their butler. I say, hey, you're welcome. Rideshare 411 could make a good video on this. It's an interesting topic, right? It should just not be accepted. And Uber should not have temporarily suspended this rider. Should have deactivated, because Uber would have definitely deactivated the driver if the rider had made the complaint, right? So can't have double standards here, Uber. Sending the wrong message to drivers if you deactivate them and you just temporarily suspend riders. This Hans Berkland guy, chop him off. He shouldn't be on the platform. He needs to go and do his work. Hans Berkland, whether you're from Denmark, from Sweden, or Norway, I can tell by your last name, Berglund, right? You need to go and do your work. What lies beneath it? Was your dad a racist? Was your mother a racist? Why did you adopt that foul language? Why did you have to spit out hatred slurs? Go and do your work, buddy. You know, you're a CEO of a company. You think you're a person of power, but you're actually very weak because you've got a lot of work to do, right? And your employees, when they go to work tomorrow, they will look at you very, very differently, Hans, right? So think about that. Go and do your little bit of work. Apologizing is one thing, right? And saying, hey, it was an honest and heartfelt apology. Look, you did the right thing by apologizing. No one's going to believe you that it was an honest and heartfelt apology, especially if you say that, right? This is an honest and heartfelt apology. No, I apologize. It's wrong. Shouldn't have done it. I will now go and do my work, right? Hate to be this guy going to work the next day, right? Because he's got a lot of people of color working for him. Good afternoon, Dylan Seaman in the house of 00 Zub. What about wheelchair? Do you think Uber drivers are allowed to pick them up? Some cities, I think like Portland, they have a category called WAV, W-A-V. You know, it's for the wheelchair category. You know, you make some modifications to the car. Yes, the trips are more expensive. They pay better. But I will always take an individual if they are in a wheelchair. You know, the question is, you've got to make sure you get them in the car and ask them, how can I assist you with the wheelchair, right? Would you be so kind and put it in the back of the trunk? Yes, I will. Are you comfortable? Can you get yourself in the car? Yes, I can get myself out of the wheelchair in the car. Okay, fine. I will fold up your wheelchair and put it in the back. You know, I've only had to do that a handful of times, right? This is not a common thing, but you know, there's no category in on my platform says that I have to or don't have to do that. I automatically do that. I don't want to leave that individual stranded just because they're in a wheelchair. But communication, my friends, is key. Communications is king and queen, right? How you talk to the person, the information that you get back. How can I assist you? Are you able to get into the car yourself? Do you need help from me? Would you like me to do with a wheelchair? Would you like me to fold it up and put it in the back for you? No, don't worry. I can do that myself, right? Some people just use a wheelchair to get around because maybe they're a bit too obese, too fat, right? They carry too much weight. They have weak legs, but they can actually fold it up and put it in the back and get in the car themselves. You've got to communicate. Find out what they want, what you can do for them. Very, very simple, right? All right, I'm out of here. It was an interesting topic. I really appreciate your input. May I please get 3 more likes so that we can get it to 30? It says 27 up there. 3 more, I'll be super happy. Start my day here in Cali. It's getting pretty cool. I'm up to 28. Thank you. Somebody just liked it. Thank you to those 20. I got 31. Thank you to those 31 individuals for liking my video. The reason why likes are great, somebody just took a like away. That's okay. You obviously didn't like the video. That's fine. But the thing here is, my friends, with likes, if you're making your videos, right, I'm going to show you also tomorrow how to timestamp videos, right? So if you do think of doing your own YouTube channels, these likes make a big difference in the algorithms. They start pushing up your videos, right, and give you more viewership, right? I'm on 35. All I can say is thank you. You guys have an awesome Tuesday. Drive safe out there. Let's recap. If we hear this horrible language come our way, what do? We don't escalate it. We remove ourselves from it, right? And the story teaches us a great lesson. It teaches us an opportunity, right? And sometimes, folks, we just got to breathe. We just got to breathe. I know it's a big pill to swallow, and I know a lot of us have big egos, but you know what? It's not worth the escalation, and it could even escalate to something very terrible, fist fight, stabbing, gunshot. We don't have to go there. Love you all. Have a great day. Lorenzo Davis says, going out here, get yourself a dash cam. If you don't have a dash cam, get yourself a dash cam. Vitali Proitori, I like that name. You too. Thank you so much. Everyone, Keto, Love and Light, all of you, drive safe. And if you don't have a dash cam, as Lorenzo Davis says, go and get yourself one. Peace out. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.